We're gonna cut some meat today. We're gonna cut straight to the bone of what we know is a moment in American history that we will not forget, not for a long time. Yesterday, the abject and utter implosion of the Hunter Biden case happened apace before our very eyes. And the timeline and TikTok we will give you today is really remarkable. We were on live with Kash Patel yesterday. We didn't know anything about it because all the news dropped at around noon, right? And then they went back and forth all day in the court. Now we have the transcripts. Now we know what they were actually trying to do. What they were actually trying to hide. They were actually trying to give Hunter a get out of jail free card saying that they will never prosecute him again for the rest of his life if he just pleads guilty to 2 little misdemeanors that will keep him out of jail. A diversion program, and Hunter couldn't even do that. In fact, Hunter Biden ripped up the plea deal and then pled not guilty to the things that he's on camera doing. You can't get any better than that. The breakdown of it is spectacular, ladies and gentlemen. The timeline of Hunter's crimes. We will lay them out before you here in just a moment. But first, how about a photo? Here's a photo. You got to ask yourself, why does Hunter Biden feel like he can go into a courthouse when there's so much demonstrable evidence proving he is guilty, proving his guilt? And ladies and gentlemen, we're going to rip open the laptop today on the show. We're going to show you his text messages. We're going to show you videos. We're going to show you indisputable evidence of Hunter Biden's obvious guilt. But you got to ask your question. You got to ask the real question here, which is Hunter Biden the victim? I know. I'm going to get canceled in the conservative spheres. Someone's going to clip this and be like, Benny's standing for Hunter. What I mean is, who's actually taking advantage of this guy? Who's taken advantage of Hunter Biden's his entire life? Before Hunter Biden ever touched his sweet lips to that hot crack pipe, his first delicious crack rock that he lit on fire. Before Hunter Biden was able to do that, well, Hunter Biden was a small child, and someone was raising that kid. Somebody scrambled Hunter Biden's brain like an egg when he was a little kid. I have an image for you that will reveal who the actual culprit is here. Who's the actual criminal? What you're going to see here is a Joe Biden swearing-in ceremony for Senate. In the 1970s, Joe Biden is a fossil. Joe Biden getting sworn in the 70s in a, what is that, a strange bed? Who's that in bed? Oh, it's Hunter Biden, because Hunter Biden was just in a car accident where he lost his mother. Hunter Biden was a small child, and Joe Biden, craven, lunatic, decided, this power-hungry goblin, Joe Biden, decided to drag a podium into the hospital room and get sworn in next to his injured son, who was being used as a prop after a deadly accident that took the lives of his mother and his sister. This is how long we have seen Joe Biden use his degenerate kid and his son's injuries and maladies to Joe Biden's own personal benefit. That's what's going on here. The reason why Hunter Biden is able to behave in such a manner, such a privileged, spoiled brat, dumb manner, like he did yesterday, is because his entire life he has been protected by Joe Biden because he's been used by Joe Biden. He is an organ of Joe Biden's power and politics. Ladies and gentlemen, the man who was married to Jill Biden, the nanny of Joe Biden, the nanny, not Hunter Biden's mother. Jill Biden's not Hunter Biden's mother. She's the help. She's the little girl that was hired to watch Hunter Biden when he was a kid. Joe Biden had an extramarital affair with her, but she cheated on her husband that she was married to. Joe Biden cheated on his wife that he was married to. And that's what's led to this picture-perfect romance. Don't believe me? You want to know how much that F's up a kid? You want to know how much that scrambles a kid's brain? Go ahead and listen to Joe Biden's husband. Jill Biden's initial husband, her first husband, tell the story about how their entire marriage is a fraudulence. Watch.
Yeah, it's going to break her heart. He's the ex-husband of Dr. Jill Biden, the widely admired woman who's been at Joe Biden's side for 43 years. And he has an eye-opening story to tell.
I was betrayed by the Bidens. Joe was my friend. Jill was my wife.
According to Bill Stevenson, both he and Jill first got to know Joe Biden when Biden was a county councilman in Newcastle, Delaware. Stevenson asked his help obtaining a liquor license.
So you were friends with Joe Biden?
Oh, yeah. Not only that, I threw a fundraiser for him in August, raised between $2,500 and $3,000. We got married in 70. I introduced Joe to Jill in 72, right before the election.
Then one day, he says a man came into his bar and asked him to pay damages for a fender bender that involved Jill.
He looks at me and he says, "Oh, she wasn't driving." I said, "Her beloved Corvette, she wasn't driving it?" He goes, "Senator Biden was driving it." And I went, "What?"
Oh my God. Have you ever heard this? This is why, ladies and gentlemen, you watch The Benny Show. This is why you watch this program, because we will go back into the archives and we will tell you the actual truth. The real truth is that Joe Biden is a degenerate scumbag who cheated on his wife with a babysitter. And that's who Jill Biden is. Now, I have no idea why Jill Biden is so obsessed with wearing shower curtains everywhere she goes. That we will leave up to God, between her and God. But I can tell you this, that messes with a kid. I can tell you this, when you use your kid in a hospital bed as a prop for your campaign, and by the way, Joe Biden has used that photo of his son in a hospital bed every single campaign run. That is in every single ad. That's in every single leaflet. Joe Biden was so proud of that. Pivoting off the death of his wife and his daughter and the pain of his son. And Joe Biden continued to use the pain of his child in order to fulfill his political dreams and aspirations his entire life. Joe Biden is a dirty, filthy man. He's a dirty, evil man. Joe Biden got his son off in 1988, a cocaine charge in New Jersey. Joe Biden's son Hunter was arrested in the Jersey Shore with a drug charge. It was expunged in 1988 at a time when his father was pushing for the incarceration of drug offenders disproportionately from minority groups. The drugs continued. So Hunter Biden never had to face accountability for this. Joe Biden got Hunter out of jail in 1988. Now, Hunter Biden, I think we did the math. Hunter Biden was a teenager. Producer ALX can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Hunter Biden was a teenager in 1988, perhaps 18 or 19 years old. Ladies and gentlemen, Hunter Biden carried on doing drugs, admitting in his own biography that when he was at Georgetown, he regularly did cocaine, smoked cigarettes, drank alcohol, and then got addicted to crack. He put his first crack rock, according to the New Yorker, into a cigarette and smoked it because he didn't have a crack pipe. But Hunter Biden learned about the crack pipe quickly. 18, according to ALX. So when Hunter Biden was 18, his father got him off a crack charge. Hunter Biden learned about crack quickly. Here's Hunter Biden with a crack pipe sleeping in his mouth. This is the actions of a man who has no fear of any federal consequence ever. We just want to lay out the timeline here for you so that you understand who is the true victim here. Hunter Biden's father protected him every step of the way, putting him inside of gushing funnels of money, unaccountable money, from Ukraine to China to Russia. $3 million from the mayor of Moscow. Hunter Biden, the addict, his entire life, since he was 18, the addict, the cokehead, the crackhead, the messed up kid, was protected by daddy every single step of the way. Never any fear of getting locked up. Even though Joe Biden, and this is how it always works, right? The people who are so righteous and indignant on certain things are the ones who are guilty of those things, oftentimes. Joe Biden regularly went down to the Senate floor and talked about his big-ass crack laws. Lock them up. Don't have a choice. Judge, don't have a choice. Got to put people away for 5 years for smoking crack. What about this guy? How about the guy who filmed the amount of crack that he was weighing in his hotel room with the prostitutes? I think we have the footage. There it is. Here's Hunter Biden. This is a footage from his cell phone. Look at that amount of crack right there. Look at the pile of crack. Look at that. That's the Mount Everest of crack rock piles. This is Hunter Biden filming inside of some like dilapidated hotel room, some flop house, talking to some hooker about the amount of crack that he has. You can see Hunter Biden's face on the film. What we're trying to do here is not to pull up some type of embarrassing video about Hunter Biden, whatever. No, the internet's filled with that. What we're trying to do here is present to you a story of the person who's truly being abused here, which is Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden was then brought in by his father after he was kicked out of the Navy for testing positive for drugs. Hunter Biden blamed it on black dudes, by the way. Said that black dude sold me a secret crack cigarette. Got it? That's how drug deals work. I got sold a secret crack cigarette. Got it. Okay, he said he bummed a cigarette off of 2 African Americans or African immigrants. Hunter's not sure. Blamed it on the black guy. Got it? Corn Pop 2.0. Had too much pomade in his hair. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Hunter Biden blamed his discharge from the Navy, another plum job that his dad got him. Discharges from the Navy, and then Hunter Biden gets brought directly into Joe Biden's orbit. Or Joe Biden says, I'm going to run you, kid. I'm going to put you in charge of so much money. I'm going to put you in charge of so many business deals. You're going to fly private all around the world. You're going to have access to all this money. And I know that you are a degenerate dirtbag. And I expect everything to go well. No, he didn't. Joe Biden knew well that Hunter Biden would be nabbed one of these days because he knew that his kid was an abuser, was an alcoholic, was a drug addict, was a womanizer, was addicted to gratuitous, illegal sex. And I say illegal because, trust me, ladies and gentlemen, there are going to be sex crimes charged against the Bidens. Hunter Biden was using human traffickers and sex traffickers for Ukrainian and Russian women, among others. When Hunter Biden was offered an Asian girlfriend, he said no yellow in his own text messages. And we'll get into that in just a moment. So funny how that never gets brought up. Hunter Biden also gratuitously uses the N-word often in his text messages. Stuff we can't even put on screen for you because it's too offensive. It's funny how nobody ever asked a question about that. So here we get to today. A world in which Hunter Biden has been trapped and is now being given by Joe Biden and his administration the greatest plum sweetheart deal you've ever seen. And we want to say, and we never thought we'd find ourselves saying this, God bless the federal judge in Delaware. Mark Levin has a tweet that perfectly sums it up. The judge in Delaware did something that not a single judge in D.C. has done in standing up to Jack Smith. She refused to rubber stamp the Biden-Garland DOJ steamrolling over our justice system. This judge's name is Judge Noriega. The corruption is palpable, and she wanted no part of it. And every federal judge participating in this tyranny, particularly in D.C., will long be remembered as disgraceful partisans who defied their obligation to justice and the Constitution. We're going to get into exactly what happened here and exactly the absolute immolation and implosion of this deal and what it means for you, what it means for our actual justice system. But first, in pairing with this timeline, we think it's valuable to show you exactly what crimes Hunter Biden has effectively gotten away with. And then we're going to get into the details of this plea bargain that has now gone up in flames, been literally ripped up in court. Check it out.
Hunter Biden's sweetheart plea deal is officially off the table. Today, the president's son showed up in a Delaware courtroom expecting to plead guilty to 2 counts of tax misdemeanors and a gun charge that would magically disappear. Until Delaware Judge Mary Ellen Noriega asked one simple question: what's actually in the deal? Apparently, that was a very difficult question that Hunter Biden and Biden's Department of Justice didn't want to talk about and didn't really have a straight answer to. Hunter's lawyers said Hunter has lifelong immunity from everything. He'll never get charged for anything ever again having to do with anything or anybody anywhere. And the judge said, really? And Biden's prosecutors, obviously embarrassed, said, well, this is still an active investigation, and he could still be maybe charged for a few things. And Hunter's lawyer said, then there's no deal. And all hell broke loose in the courtroom.
So that is a good summary of what happened. We're going to jump into the details here because we actually have the transcripts, and you deserve to actually know what happened inside of this courtroom because it is egregious. Ladies and gentlemen, the transcripts of what happened, the TikTok of the court asking various members of the Department of Justice and the legal team is here on a Twitter thread by Chris Tigani, who is a person who is from Delaware, who was, I believe, prosecuted by David Weiss for an illegal campaign contribution to Joe Biden. So this is a guy who's been prosecuted by this exact same system. So this is why he has a particular care about this instance. Check this out. Judge Noriega asked the U.S. attorney 5 times if there was any precedent for such a one-sided plea agreement, like he gave Hunter. He said no, not at all, 5 times, and even admitted that this was crafted to suit the facts and the circumstances. That's how quickly this blew up. Has the DOJ ever given a deal like this to any other American? And they had to admit 5 times to the judge, no. Judge Noriega then said that she had never seen an agreement not to prosecute like the one that she was being asked to sign off on. There was and is no precedent for U.S. Attorney David Weiss to give Hunter Biden such a special treatment while strictly enforcing the law on everyone else, including the dude who's tweeting this, by the way. This guy had to do hard time, if I'm reading his story correctly, for making an improper donation to Joe Biden's campaign. The court. All right, now I want to talk a little bit about the agreement not to prosecute. The agreement not to prosecute includes the gun case, but it also includes crimes relating to the tax case. So we look through a bunch of diversion agreements. We've never, ever been able to find anything similar to that. Hunter gets a lifetime get-out-of-jail-free card. A lifetime get-out-of-jail-free card for anything else they could ever prosecute him. Do you realize what an insult, what a spitting in your face this is? This is the continuation of an abusive father who has used his degenerate, troubled, demon-possessed son. And if you watch these videos, you can see that it's demonic activity, this kid. Demonic activity that was welcomed by his father, by cheating on his mother, by using him as a prop. Joe Biden, the evil, vindictive bastard who's using his kid as a political prop, is simply continuing the protection racket to protect his political prop. And Joe Biden, who has signed off on every fundraising agreement, who has signed off on every single budget increase, has signed off on every single spy operation for the FBI and the DOJ that they've ever wanted in 50 years, is finally getting his dividend. That's what's happening here. Hunter Biden gets a lifetime get-out-of-jail-free card. Judge, do you have any precedent for agreeing to not prosecute crimes that have nothing to do with the case or have never been charged or diverted? U.S. Attorney, I am not aware of any, Your Honor. We have never done this for any other American, living or dead. For agreeing to plead guilty to misdemeanors and no jail time, the DOJ asked to never prosecute Hunter again for the rest of his life. They're trying to insulate Hunter from another Trump administration. They're trying to insulate Hunter from you and I gaining power once again. And then finally hammering this son of a the way they deserve to be hammered. The actions taken by the DOJ criminal and Attorney Weiss are an insult to every other citizen. I'm sorry for my cursing. I try not to curse on the show, but sometimes I get so angry as a parent. I get so angry as a father, trying to teach my kids American values. My kids love this country. American flag is one of the first things that they learn. And it's so disrespectful to a country that was built on no oligarchies, no kings, every man a king, every woman a queen in this place. We are all judged the same. And then I see stuff like this, it makes my blood boil. In fact, Judge Noriega was so surprised at the plea diversion agreement that she questioned the constitutionality of the agreement. This is insanity. And it appears that Attorney Weiss rigged the outcome for Hunter. Are you still a prosecutor, Mr. Weiss? This is crazy. Read this statement from the court. I'm concerned that the provisions make me a gatekeeper for criminal charges and puts me in the middle of a decision as to whether to bring a charge. And we already know, and we already talked about the separation of powers, and that choice of whether or not to bring a charge is with the executive branch, not the judicial branch. Is this even constitutional? Is this even constitutional, the judge asked, inside of a state that is run by Joe Biden, where this judge absolutely probably has some type of connection to the Democrat Party, a connection to the Bidens herself. Not even she. She is so disgusted by this agreement that she is just openly sickened by it. So she throws it back in their face, blows up the deal. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Out this morning, an incredible timeline of the crimes that Hunter Biden may now well be charged with. They have opened up Pandora's box here. Their hubris, the sick hubris of this family, their flaunting and degeneracy, an insult to you and I, regular Americans who pay our taxes and live by these rules every single day, is finally coming home to roost. There's only so much corruption before it collapses in. Check out this timeline of what Hunter Biden may now face.
The dramatic reversal coming after the feds admitted that Hunter is still under investigation. The whole thing crumbling when the judge expressed concerns over the constitutionality of a plea deal and questions rising about how the DOJ could still be investigating Hunter while granting him immunity for anything they discover in the future. How do we get here, right? Let's go back to our timeline. This October of 2019, that's when the FBI learns about Hunter's laptop being left in Wilmington, Delaware. In December of 2019, 2 months later, the FBI takes possession of it, right? And informs the IRS of evidence of tax crimes. About a year later, you had the 51 intel officials declare that the laptop was all Russian disinformation. That was also 3 weeks before a national election. Come to November of 2022, James Comer vows to carry out wide-ranging Hunter Biden probe. April of 2023 now, those whistleblower claims about mishandling in the investigation. We talked about that. That same month, Hunter's attorney meets with federal prosecutors. And then yesterday, that plea deal falls apart in court when the judge said, I will not rubber stamp this case.
Ladies and gentlemen, why did the plea deal fall apart? Why was there no deal? Why the deal blew up was, as we just read you directly from the court, and don't get it twisted because there's a lot of lies out there. The reason the deal blew up is that this judge, who is undoubtedly a lifelong Democrat, was so repulsed and disgusted, so sickened by the open and egregious double standard and corruption of the silver platter in which the Biden DOJ was offering the president's son immunity for life. No jail time, misdemeanor charges, ratcheting down every single charge to make sure that he got the most limited slap on the wrist, just like he's always gotten back to 1988 when he first had a mugshot and a dust-up with the law. Have you ever seen Hunter Biden's mugshot from the Jersey Shore? No, of course you haven't. Because Daddy Joe stepped in and took care of it because he needed his political prop. Ooh, man, there's going to be judgment for these people one day.